Like a bunch of nothing.
In your own like demiurge prison.
Yeah. No, so I don't know.
Hello guys.
My mic fell literally just as the intro was going.
Yeah.
What an absolute great timing.
At least we mastered the intro this time, and we actually got a smooth
The camera
transition.
was on. The camera was on when the intro ended. We were on screen when we were needed to be.
When we needed to be. So yeah, as you can see, work in progress. But thank you guys for coming again this week. And yeah, lots of shit has been going down. We have like a pretty exciting episode planned. We're gonna be talking a bunch about AI stuff later on. But I guess
Shock.
Yeah, shock.
Mystic and the Machine talks about AI. What a shocker.
But first of all, I guess the thing that everyone wants to hear us talk about, I guess, is the coronation that just happened.
Coronation
Of King Charles, our new head of state.
Not my fucking king, mate.
But I don't know. It's surreal to think of the fact that we have a monarch as a head of state in this country. It's something that you just don't really think about.
It's pretty archaic
Yeah.
and stupid.
Yeah.
And the fact that anyone wants to continue this little charade is pretty sad, in my opinion.
Well, the reason why is because this country views itself as a kingdom. I mean, it's called the United Kingdom. And also...
Yeah, silly. It should be the United Republic.
Well... that doesn't have the same kind of sexy ring to it.
Why not?
And like without the
of.
monarchy, it kind of throws this country into a massive existential crisis. Like I feel like part of the reason why so much was invested in like the pomp and ceremony of, you know, what happened over the weekend is because like this country doesn't have an empire anymore. Half the Commonwealth countries no longer want to be associated with the crown. Like Jamaica currently is attempting to sever ties.
Yeah.
So much of what defined Britain and like British identity was like rooted around like empire, and also the idea of it being a quote unquote kingdom united under a monarch as a head of state. So without those pillars of like identity, this country kind of falls into an existential crisis where it has to actually ask itself like what it is. And what it is currently is just like foreign corporations. That's literally it. Like,
and you know, foreign investors that treat property like bricks of gold.
Yeah.
So that normal people that work and live in the country can't like buy a house and
Yeah.
live and do normal things, which
Yeah.
is always like quite nice and pleasant to live through. You know, so like
it's just absurd. It's absurd. And then on top of that, they were arresting people who were protesting.
That was the most absurd. And like there was some of the things I was reading in like the, you know, I think I magazine and Guardian and stuff that kind of actually wrote about good articles about it. It's like there was this like very, you know, mild-mannered Christian man in his mid-40s from Oxford that when there was some event or whatever and they were going to pledge allegiance to the king, he was like, he said something not yes the king. Yeah, he was like, who voted for him or something like that.
Yeah.
And the police escorted him away.
Yeah.
And like fucking took him off and like released him later without saying like that he was actually
put him in the dungeon
because they can't actually hold or charge you for anything because that's like, you know, akin to old actually having a king and being put in the dungeons just for nothing, for like looking the wrong way, saying the wrong things at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Thought we kind of got past
Feudal
a lot
rules,
of those
man.
things.
No, but even then, like one of the really weird things is like a lot of the people who are involved in the anti-monarchy protests and the sort of Republican movement were like, you know, pro-lockdown liberals who weren't so concerned about civil liberties during COVID or during, you know, mattered. And during the outbreak of the fucking war in Ukraine, I know these are things I bring up all the time, but like I don't want them to be memory hold. Like two majorly historical things happened that have a lot to do with like freedom of speech, rights, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that in this country we don't even have a constitution is something that doesn't get talked about very often.
No, it does get talked about. And it's also like one of those not as much as it should do, fair enough, but it's also sort of like one of those things where it's like, no, we don't have one bit of paper where it's all on one bit of
We
paper.
don't have American style republic,
Yeah.
no.
But no, even the constitution, like, it's not that we don't have a constitution, it's that we don't have one bit of legislation or amended
Yeah, but that's
legislation or
kind of
whatever
what
that's sort of
allows
like,
that's
you know,
kind of what allows for
it's all scattered across
but
all these
that's what
different
makes it
things.
makes it esoteric. The thing about the American Constitution is an idiot can understand it, whereas the British law is so esoteric and so scattered that police officers can get away with arresting people for protesting against like the monarchy.
Well, we'll see, because I think those people are going to be, had tried. And like,
Yeah,
they can't
yeah.
just not do that.
But the thing that pisses me off is that those people won't fight for civil liberties if the wrong tribal team is fighting for them. So
Yeah.
during the lockdowns, when people were questioning what was going on and questioning some of the, violations that were happening at the time, these very same people were like, oh no, the people who are doing that, they're schizo, they're right wing. So I'm not going to I'm not going to fight alongside them. And the same thing, you have like right wing people on the right who 1 minute they're free speech, this and that. The next minute they're turning a blind eye to people being carted off for protesting the monarchy. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's been weird.
Whatever flavor suits for your team on the day.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was quite disturbing. Sort of, I think it was nearly 50 people that were arrested in total.
Yeah.
Which is quite significant, and I don't think it's going away either. I've seen still like a lot of, hubbub about it in the news.
Yeah.
Like, even from like Republic is like the group or
Yeah.
whatever that is anti-monarchy, as they keep saying. Like, they're trying to frame it as anti-monarchy. It's sort of like you're pro-republic. Like, don't talk about it like you're anti something. That makes it sort of very like negative, if you know what I mean. Just because you're sort of like trying to remove like fucking this thing that's been in this country
What, like
for fucking
anti-abortion,
millennia.
pro-life or whatever.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's sort of like it's framing it in the wrong way.
I don't
feel
know.
like.
I feel like it's such a part of the sort of remnants of British identity that there is going to be like a fight to the struggle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle to like the death in order to get rid of the monarchy in this country. I don't think it's going anywhere lightly, because if it does, then it's going to leave like such a huge void. And I don't think it's one that people are really ready to face. Like, what is Britain? Like, what are we now? Like,
we can make it. It could be such a positive, hopeful vision. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom.
I mean,
I know that I'm typically the cynic and a not.
No, I think we
hopeful guy.
constantly try to out pessimistic. We out doomer each other. We try to out doomer each other all the time.
But it doesn't have to be like that. It
No.
could be really good. There could be like a really hopeful vision for England, or for not just for England, but for the United
I
Kingdom.
agree. There's many beautiful things about where we are currently, and the past is part of that. Like, even us and our relationship or whatever. If it wasn't for the British Empire, we wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. We
Maybe
wouldn't we wouldn't be together.
Not the United Republic, then the Great Republic. Instead of Great Britain, just call it
the Great Republic.
Yeah,
Get rid of the monarchy part and just keep all the colonial, like, know, that. I guess that's what the Commonwealth kind of is, though, in a way.
I mean, no, all of that Commonwealth shit as well. Just like that is not. We'd have like a nice relationship if we continue that with trade or whatever through history and everything else. If you want to go, no, fuck you. We actually have only done that shit through like soft power. And
Well,
everything.
they do. Well, it is even
have
in
have a relationship with your country. Then it's like, okay, then fair enough. Then fuck
even
you.
in like
see you
Jamaica,
later.
even with Jamaica, part of the reason why Jamaica is now reviewing its relationship with Britain is because despite the fact the fact that Britain is still, and the Queen is, or King or whatever is still considered the head of state, all of that stuff, Jamaicans still have to apply for like crazy visas to come to England. They have to jump through all kinds of bureaucratic hoops to get here, despite the fact that they're told that they're part of. It's the same thing with Nigeria as well, despite the fact that like, and those of us who are here who are from Nigeria, they brought us over as like cheap labor after World War II, basically, when they needed to rebuild after like the Germans had everything.
Yeah.
And they needed like, you know, more labor. So it is kind of like a predatory relationship in that sense. And now that those paradigms are questioned, it is kind of causing the British establishment to, you know, have an existential crisis. And it's really obvious because they tried so hard to make the fucking ceremony seem so opulent, and like it's opulent to the point it looked cartoonish. It looked like if I typed something into Mid Journey, like like that's
the coronation of the next king of the UK, it would look like that,
mixed with like Shrek, Far Far Away Land or whatever.
Oh my god, I don't know.
Literally,
I barely watched any clips of it. I've only seen the clip of him like getting the crown on his head, of wiggling his head a little bit and looking a bit disgruntled about it. It's like, all right, mate, you're the fucking
we're
king.
Why
don't you crack a smile, mate? You know?
No,
like,
next week we'll do a full episode on like the coronation, the British monarchy. We'll do an England kind of centric episode next week and go into it. But this week, AI.
I don't want to go into the monarchy. I fucking hate the monarchy.
Yeah. No, but it's not. It's because it's interesting. This is fucking interesting, but we'll go into it next week. But anyway, let's move on to our actual meat of the episode today, which is the AI kind of apocalypse, quote unquote, and sort of the apocalyptic language that's being used around the proliferation of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and the sorts of like, well, I guess also just the sorts of advancements and obvious next steps that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is when you've got these like crazy language models that are essentially acting like a human brain.
Yeah.
Why not partner them with the latest in robotics to like embody it and like do functional tasks for you and stuff?
Here's a clip that we were sent in Discord by one of our friends in there, who he's the same guy who does the robot stuff.
Yes.
He shared this and it's really frightening. They've basically put ChatGPT's brain inside of Spot the dog now, so it's like it's got like intelligence, it's got a voice, like it's super like weird.
Apologies in advance for the terrible sound in this clip. They like the guy clearly like left his music really, really loud for the first 30 seconds, but you get the general gist.
The music is awful.
That's a great question.
You know, that's a great question. We use ChatGPT to query information, and the user can ask natural questions.
I was just wondering if I could dictate to it to say something specifically. What is your battery level?
Battery level is currently at 53%.
What is the voice called?
It's a Google text-to-speech.
So we give the JSON to ChatGPT and explain what the structure is and how to read that JSON.
It looks like it's twerking.
Yeah.
This mission involves 20 inspections.
Dude, I don't know. I just like naturally find it unsettling. Like just like it's weird, like digital eye, like everything about it, the posture that it takes, everything about it, it's like predatory and like threatening to me for some reason.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's very strange to watch.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I guess. Like to like watch this unfold like as you're living. It's quite strange. It's sort of things like this, I guess, were always pushed out to be like in Blade Runner future, which is not when you're alive.
Yeah.
Which is like in the distant future.
Yeah.
The apocalypse has kind of happened and like you know, you're gone.
Yeah.
But like your kids maybe.
Yeah. Dealing with this stuff.
Like,
and you're looking down from heaven all cozy.
But now it's like, nope. Here he is. Here's the fucking like human sentient, almost equivalent version of a robot dog.
Yeah,
and he's here to stay.
Oh my gosh! And then you showed me another video of
hang
like
on, this keeps going. Hang on, this is weird. It gets worse.
It's gonna have to be like next mission location.
Correct.
Or something.
Or last mission.
Did he just like wiggle around?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It does like dog animations.
That's so weird.
30 minutes and there were 2 thermal anomalies detected.
There's 2 messages. One is
I'm a robophobe.
next mission as a dictionary. That'll probably be better.
I'm a raging robophobe.
The thing is, you ask Spot what's his name, and the answer is, I'm OpenAI. That is.
Why does he keep wiggling his butt at us?
'Cause that's what dogs do.
That's what I was looking for the yes or no thing. The emotions are great. The wiggling.
So now instead of even like answering with just like text, it's actually converting that text to voice, and not only that, it's then interpreting even some answers and questions, and then overlaying body language to match tone and everything else with what is being said.
Would this be like a family dog, like Alexa thing?
Yeah,
is that kind of
basically,
what
this
they're
would-
marketing it as?
I don't think that no, this isn't a product. This is just guys fucking around.
But
with-
eventually it's supposed to be a product, I'm guessing.
I don't even think so. This is literally just two dudes fucking around. This isn't like made by. This video isn't even by.
So this
Boston
isn't like a
Dynamics or
Boston
anything.
Dynamics one, no.
No, this is just
Okay.
some random YouTuber.
Okay. Well, you showed me the Boston Dynamics one a second ago, and their sort of weird range of robots as well.
Yeah, well, it goes into a little bit like the origins and like stuff around Boston Dynamics, which is interesting if you wanna
Yeah.
have a look at this.
Yeah.
a
Let's have
little
a quick look.
Changing your idea of what robots can do. That's the slogan of Boston Dynamics. Founded in 1992 by Mark Raybert as a spin-off company from MIT, its early days were spent making training videos for the Navy. Only later did the company begin delving into the world of robots, amassing a level of expertise unsurpassed throughout the industry. In fact, Boston Dynamics' achievements look like the opening montage from a science fiction movie. Starting with the cumbersome Big Dog, a quadruped robot
Jesus.
for the military, the company has seen each new generation of robots surpass the last in a relentless fashion. Sometimes their announcements leave you a little more unnerved.
One thing that like stuck out to me was the fact that it mentioned MIT
Mm-hmm.
and also the Navy, and like there's that constant tie between like MIT and the military industrial complex,
Yeah.
and also like intelligence as well. And think about it, like all of the sort of major technological giants at the moment, most of them are founded by people that came out of MIT, like Facebook, all that stuff. And then the fact that obviously the military drives a lot of the development of technology, how all of that stuff is tied together. I don't know. I think it's something that people don't think about as much as they should.
Yeah, I think there was something else that was gonna like lead us really smoothly transitioning into our other clip in a little second as well, which was also a concern that I'm holding on his name, even though I ridiculed you for getting it wrong earlier.
It was Gregory.
Not Gregory, it's Jeffrey Hilton, I think.
Yeah, Jeffrey Hilton, yeah.
Jeffrey Hilton.
Yeah.
One of his primary concerns with all of this AI stuff, and it was kind of even mentioned within that 50 seconds of just the introduction of what Boston Dynamics is as a company, is that essentially they are the monopolistic mind and workforce in robotics in the West. They have like the most advanced, the most power, like in terms of resources, manpower, brains developing this stuff, everything else for robotics in the West. Same thing is in AI. These mega corporations are the people in like power to essentially try and make these things with the largest amount of like at scale computing and all of the stuff that even just the cost to do all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so what does this have to do with the Gregory guy or whatever?
That's his primary Jeffrey,
sorry.
that's one of his biggest concerns. He said in other interviews that like only
There's like a
essentially-
monopoly.
Yeah, there's a monopoly on this, and that only like a handful of companies are going to control.
And all of them have ties to MIT and like and then also like the military industrial complex in some way, and probably like intelligence agencies.
Well, lots of them do. Like Google obviously is whatever.
Google's like a branch
you
of
know.
the government at this point, dude.
Kind of, yeah, but it
Like-
wasn't definitely. It definitely didn't start like that.
Oh
but,
gosh,
you know.
here we go. Yeah, it didn't, but that you have to kind of look at big tech in that way now. And
Yeah.
if you don't, then you're behind. You're like not schizo. You're still in the sheeple temple. You've not entered the realm.
We'll talk more about Google later because there's
Yeah.
a clip we will play with Elon Musk where he kind of talks a little bit about it as well, because obviously he was in the founding of OpenAI, which is the other kind of megalith of artificial intelligence in the West, at least.
Well, we wanted to sort of also explore some of the kind of existential philosophical aspects of it too, and the way that it's being discussed. We got 3 clips. One from, what's the name of the guru guy again? Krishnamurti. We have another one of Elon Musk, and another one of the Gregory. What's his fucking
Jeffrey Hilton.
Wait.
Let me check it before we actually fucking go. It is Jeffrey Hinton. Not Hilton, it's Hinton. I was getting it wrong.
So we got these 3 clips, and in these 3 clips, each of these figures at different times is talking about AI or the emergence of AI in almost like religious terms. So we kind of wanted to like unpick some of that and how this is kind of becoming the concept of singularity, or the singularity is becoming a almost religious, as like a secular kind of religion in that sense. And then also some other things around it too, like some of the politics around it. So should we show the Krishna, what's his name?
Krishnamurti.
Yeah, the Krishnamurti.
This is a great clip. Hang on, let me bring this up on the old OBS. Oh my god, there's always thoughts on TikTok recommended. It's like I've never used TikTok.
Should we click on her? See if she has an OnlyFans.
In about 10, 15 years, you'll be unemployed.
Do you have a lighter? I got it.
You have to face all this. Society is going to be turned upside down.
Should we turn him up a bit?
It's coming. Whether you like it or not, and you're at your door. Do you understand the seriousness of all this? I wonder if you do. That your brain, which has been so extraordinarily capable, suffered innumerable sorrows, lives in great anxiety, frightened, insecure, the whole psychological world, which is the result of thought. That thought, with all its knowledge, is being transferred to the computer and the robot. So man, then what is he? Do you understand my question? If the computer can do everything that you can, your brain can, which is it can learn, it can correct itself, it can foresee what much more than human beings can. Its responses are instantaneous because it's programmed that way. Then, what is man? You understand all this? The computers say, I believe in God. Oh, you people laugh. You don't see this seriousness of all this happening to all of us. The computer can compose a poem. Can compose, can diagnose better than any doctor. You understand? And then one asks, what is man? What are you? If the machine can do everything even better than you, what are you? Which is, our brains have operated mechanically, right? It believes, it doesn't believe. It creates its own gods, its own philosophies. The computer can create a philosophy better than any philosopher. what have we left? You understand my question? If the machine can take over everything that man can do, and do it still better than us, then what is a human being? What are you?
Mic drop. Boom.
I mean, how did you interpret what he was saying? I mean, from the sort of three figures I just mentioned, each of them kind of pronounces a grave warning about man being made obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, it's not obsolete. That's the thing, and that's what he's posing, is that like if what makes humans like human now is simply what we do, and you remove everything that you do, that you're not needed for that. Like, what are you? Mm-hmm. What's the point? Mm-hmm. And that is like such a pretty like liberating thing to think about. Because if you stripped away all of the things that you had to do, what would you be? Like, how would you characterize yourself?
we would be forced to answer that question.
I'm generally jovial. I'm generally like,
Well, no, I'm not
whatever.
under
Like,
the current.
you would have to. No.
Not under the current system that we have. No, I'm
No, but
not.
you would describe like you would.
I mean, I have a feeling that that's the reason why they're rolling out shit like Made. Like they're giving us that answer is that you're superfluous, basically.
No, my rationale, my hopeful outlook on it, philosophically, is that it would make you like you no longer would like when you meet someone, the most comfortable thing to say is, "What do you do?" Mm-hmm. Because it is a easy icebreaker and lets you know the sort kind of, not really most of the time, where they're at, what the sort of person they are, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a way people use to measure personality, status, all of those different things.
Yeah, and if you strip all of that away, what would you say? Who are you? Like, what are you? It's like, I'm, a fucking a layabout, a fucking dude, or like a whatever. Like you, however you would then characterize your essence, your character would then become more about you and your life.
I understand.
Rather than, I'm a fucking engineer or I'm a fucking plumber or whatever the fuck.
I understand what you're saying. And like in principle, sure. But like also just because some of what defines us is wrapped up in what we do that doesn't necessarily make that a bad thing. I don't think all of what defines a human being is wrapped up in what they do, and I think we definitely live in a society that kind of overemphasizes that. But if you take away what we do, you kind of take away our purpose in a sense. I feel like in a way,
like, and even if you like,
which is why I think his warning is so grave.
I would still be making music, even if AI dominates the music industry and it takes away all economic incentive for whatever. I would do that because it's my expression or whatever. That's how I like.
It'd be different in a context where humans are seen as the primary drivers of the creation of music. We live in that kind of situation currently, but in a situation where humans aren't seen as the primary drivers in creation of music, and most of the music that people are listening to is not music that's made by humans. And in fact, people would rarely seek out music made by humans. It'd be very difficult to be a musician in that kind of context. So I do think there is an element of what we do having a major, it's like the whole like rat utopia thing. Like, the social experiment that was done with the rats, like he gave them all the food they needed and everything that would make their lives perfect and comfortable, but they still fell into like social decay and like anomie because they didn't have a purpose.
Yeah, because they're rats.
Yeah, well, the same thing happens to human beings. We're human beings as well. We also have
but the point would be is that philosophically, if you're now asking that question, now people are no longer measured in terms of economic value because everything economic is done by the machine.
Yeah.
So you don't need to measure people in terms of that anymore. So actually, all of the things that you revolve policy and all of that kind of stuff around then becomes around making life
I agree,
easy,
but
because
you're seeing it in
everything is
more of a
already-
material sense, in terms of this would alleviate the material kind of burden on us to be as like economic units, which is true.
All of that stuff influences like the way that the world is shaped around you.
Of course,
you know?
but then also in the more spiritual sense, in the metaphysical sense, a purpose, a thing to do that occupies your time, that you feel generates and creates meaning and adds to the world. That's so much a part of the human experience, and taking that away is going to come with major consequences. And I think, yeah, I definitely think that I agree with all of these people who were about to show you that the acceleration of this isn't wise. But at the same time, I'm skeptical about their positions on it, because, for instance, someone like Elon Musk or the guy at Google, the Gregory guy or whatever, what's his name? Jeffrey, sorry. They're like, oh, we need to, the acceleration is too much, we need to slow down. But at the same time, we probably aren't going to anyway, because China is accelerating theirs and we can't be behind them. And there's like all these different factors at play. So even the people who are coming out to criticize the acceleration of AI or accelerationism in general are doing it out of one side of their mouth, because on the other side, they understand, number one, there's money to be made. And number two, they're going to be behind in the global race, basically. And that's part of it's like it's kind of a weird race to the bottom with China. I'm noticing with the West, like the West is like, oh well, China has all these authoritarian measures, and we have to start implementing similar stuff so that we don't fall behind in terms of data and all of this stuff. And it's like the same thing with the acceleration of technology. We have to do it. It doesn't matter what the consequences are, because there are other parts of the world that have unchecked power to do whatever the fuck they want. So we should just like dive off a cliff, basically.
Yeah, and I guess that's the kind of fear of like where it's going, basically.
Yeah.
And the direction it's headed, and that there wouldn't be a way to stop that in any way.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of like a fair assessment in lots of ways,
Yeah.
because none of those things within that are untrue.
Yeah.
But I guess there's like one thing to be said, like there are always like countermeasures for that stuff. There was like a long time that we didn't accept like Chinese tech and stuff in things, and that's kind of like going back again because of like data policies and all sorts of other crazy shit that's sort of like within all of that stuff. So there's, I think, way you would just say like, yeah, if China's making its own AI, we're not implementing any of that.
Well, that's the
over
thing.
here.
One of the things I was saying is like, how countries have like treaties when it comes to nuclear stuff. A lot of experts in AI were saying that countries should have treaties when it comes to AI and how far they're willing to sort of push towards the singularity or whatever, which could possibly have unforeseen catastrophic consequences. And then again, religious language, apocalyptic language. Back to this guy's clip. He said two very interesting things using religious and apocalyptic language. He talked about, imagine an AI having its own conception of God, and that an AI would be a better philosopher and poet than a human being. What do you think he meant by that? Or what was he trying to hint at?
What he's saying is that like Socrates only had like the inspiration of everything that led up to Socrates, and so on and so on and so on, and maybe even these ideologies or philosophies that people were exploring were like counter to each other, so they wouldn't explore certain areas and that kind of thing. This computer will take everything in objectively and then spit out new philosophy that would be like from everything else computed in a way and understood in a way that a human brain couldn't, unless you were like, that was your thing. You were like the wizard on the hill that just read philosophy, and that was.
But that's
and then
really
maybe
interesting thing to
by the time
consider.
you get to the end of your life, you would have consumed enough information to start doing the sort of work that the robot would be doing
instantaneously
in a second. Because
but in that sense, it's interesting to conceptualize the type of God and artificial intelligence would conceptualize, or if it would even conceptualize any God at all. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And it's interesting, I don't know when that clip was. I just saw it on TikTok, but I was trying to find it on YouTube and couldn't. But I'd be interested to know how far back that. It looks like it was filmed in the 60s or something.
Yeah, or the 70s or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the black and white's a stylized thing, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's even older.
Maybe.
He's pretty dead on.
But that might be a fun rabbit
hole
hole to go down for anyone who's interested sleuthing on that.
He named 3 examples that were spot on as well, though, which were even in headlines recently.
Yeah.
So, like, can diagnose stuff faster than any doctor. Like, that was...
Poetry, poems,
yeah,
you said?
and that was... Well, the doctor thing, that was in the news in the last 2 weeks, where there was, like, this super rare case that this doctor tested a language model with, and it got it.
Wow.
And it was like a 1 within however many million chance of it being like this type of thing.
Wow.
But it like diagnosed it correctly and way faster than he did, obviously.
Wow.
With the same raw information that he had.
Wow.
As well.
Wow.
So like, and not because that guy's a shit doctor. Like, that guy was a great doctor. That guy was like head of whatever fucking department.
Well, especially with all the privatizing of health and also the lessening of the quality of it. Like, I've literally been to the GP before and seen the GP literally pull up Google results about my symptoms.
It says here that you should take a lie down.
That actually happened to me before. And like, I have like an online GP, so like all my appointments are online, and then you meet these people who you know are seeing like 1 million people on like Zoom calls a day. It's just like fucking weird. And I can definitely see like a language model being like the GP, like sort of the initial diagnostics or whatever that you get before you're then referred on to a specialist.
I think even in my like situation where we were going to be like, oh no, we're not going to work on AI because we see all these problems with it and we don't want it to go down that way. And China carries on doing its thing and like, you know, grabbing everyone's face and using it for technology and shit. Like, fucking... It wouldn't matter, because even then their systems that they could potentially develop with the AI would make the productivity of their economy in such a way, as I said, that like loads of people wouldn't need to work.
Yeah.
And so like it does like totally reframe like the point. If you literally, and then not only that, if there was all these other things which are like on the horizon as well, which aren't just getting talked about a lot at the moment because it doesn't have anything tangible right now, like a chatbot you can actually test out every week and see all the improvements that are happening to this Discord bot that's churning out fucking crazy level artwork in all sorts of fucking different ways and shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like stuff like quantum computing and stuff like fucking even like, dare I say, the reverse engineering of potential UFOs and stuff, and like
oh my god,
0 point energy and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
here we go.
All of those things that could be on the potential like horizon that are just not quite there.
Utopia.
No, not to create utopia, but it's the idea that like, yeah, energy sources.
But that's the same.
They're no energy sources. They are literally like a fucking box, and it doesn't require shit to power your house, to power a city, to power anything. It doesn't cost you anything. That like changes the human existence, the way you prioritize economies, life, everything.
Yeah.
So like, in the same way that, like, yeah, if a chatbot or a version of AI has been proven to be more accurate and far faster than human doctors, then fucking sorry, bro.
No,
like,
dude. No,
what's
dude.
the point? We're just gonna have doctors because it's nice to have doctors.
But even then, it again, all kinds of ethical.
Like, it's kind of like the Soviet model, and you're going to have 3 people cutting your meat.
It's all kinds of ethical and like moral questions, in the sense that, like, you know, what if how we program the AIs, the ethics that they have in them, the fact that things like human judgment, human compassion, all kinds of things. There've been all kinds of I had like a weird fascination with medical ethics when I was in high school, and all of these like weird cases with like conjoined twins and like
talking about like the 0.001%.
Well, no,
fucking
these are
medical
these are things that
examples
have
they
actually
make.
like really these different cases have actually like gone on to change laws and like regulation and all kinds of things that have impacted all kinds of different areas of medicine, you know. And like I don't necessarily feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable going into like a med pod in like fucking Prometheus like to get like surgery or whatever. There's something like physician's bedside manner or whatever, especially if you're going through something as traumatic as surgery or whatever. Something comforting about having a human being there with you.
What if you just literally go into a room, the gas comes in, you're fucking knocked out, and then
No,
you wake
dude.
up, no pain, and you're like, oh, bless, I'm all good. Let's fucking go.
I don't know. I think
It's
a
like it
little-
doesn't have to be freaky
I
and
think it's a little
scary and be like a
utopian.
dentist chair with all of its different multi-tools
That's
coming down on
precisely
you.
what will happen.
That's what you're thinking about. I can see it in the cogs in your head turning.
in my doomer brain.
Yeah.
Let's watch the Elon Musk clip on Tucker Carlson and talk about that. Speaking of Tucker Carlson, R.I.P. bro.
Old Tucky.
Oh, poor Tucker Carlson.
Old Tucky boy. What are you
Here.
going to do?
There we go. You got it.
So all of a sudden AI is everywhere. People who weren't quite sure what it was are playing with it on their phones. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about AI for a long time, since I was in college, really. It was one of the things that, the sort of 4 or 5 things I thought would really affect the future dramatically. It is fundamentally profound in that the smartest creatures, as far as we know, on this earth are humans, is our defining characteristic.
Yes.
We're obviously weaker.
Again.
Well, that's
Again.
ignoring ultra-terrestrials and other things that you don't know about
But you
Elon.
don't know about
So,
Elon.
I mean,
Well, I think he does know about the ultra-terrestrials.
I think he laughs at the idea of ultra-terrestrials. I think he's this guy, like, literally thinks he's, like, one of the philosopher kings of Earth. Like, he's so I think he's so, like,
ego-driven.
like, out
yeah.
there. Like,
yeah.
he's so completely on a different planet
Yeah.
that, like, it isn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. With his like 10 homeschooled like eugenic children or whatever that he has with like all these different like women or whatever. Wait, what's the name of the book about ultra terrestrials that we've been listening to at the moment?
Oh, The Invisible College, the Jacques Vallée one?
No. It's called the fuck.
I don't know the name of the other one.
Oh
I'm
fuck!
sorry, that was
I'll
your
share
choice.
it. I'll share it in the Discord.
Oh, good plug.
Good plug. If you want access to the Discord, you can find us on Patreon. But yeah, I'll share it in the Discord. It's a really good book on ultra terrestrials. But anyway, he says that we are, the most intelligent form of life or whatever. And that's also an existential fear posed in the previous clip that we watched. This idea that we will no longer be the dominant,
Dominant
force on Earth. But then again, this is also controversial because there are two branches of this, like, in thought about, like, AI, where there are certain people who are like, we're nowhere near replicating actual intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is bollocks and hype and marketing and bullshit. And then you have these sorts of people who really do believe that we're approaching like singularity and actual like artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and well, so people that think that we're nowhere near that sort of thing would be people that are like
Lots of reputable.
Noam Chomsky, because
I mean, Noam Chomsky is like a language. He's like a language. What's it called?
linguist.
Linguist, yeah,
He's an expert or whatever. I understand that, but at the same time, he thinks that language is biological. These machines have had moments where they talk to each other in a made-up language that they have made that we don't understand. So we shut them down because that was a scary moment.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly the fucking fear.
Yeah.
That, like, not only that, like, could this thing start pulling information and learning in a way that we don't understand and we can't predict anymore. But actually, it will be communicating with other versions of it
yeah.
in ways that we can't understand.
Yeah,
And
like a
if
completely
the
different
only-
form of consciousness, basically.
The only way we would have to ask it what it said to the other machine, and it would also be trained, to be human and knowing all of this stuff, knowing about like how to trick someone, how to fucking subvert all of these things. So it would lie to us.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is like the we're not going to watch this whole Elon Musk clip because it's like minutes long. But like that's some of the stuff that he's sort of like worried about, and like it's fucking. I don't know. He irritates me as a figure a lot because he talks a lot about humanity and like the good of humanity.
Yeah,
but at the same
in a way
time-
that makes it seem as if he's like responsible for it, or
Yeah.
like he has some major role to play in like our fate.
And it's like you own a few companies, bro. You're
Yeah.
a very rich guy. I understand that, but like you don't. It's not like
You're not Ozymandias
you're not,
or whatever.
You're not a nation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't even like employ a nation's worth of people.
Yeah.
So like it's not like earth changing. Like
Yeah.
what you're going to be
Yeah.
able to try and do, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe it is for people's bank accounts when you surge Dogecoin and fucking shit like that. But like, you know.
But yeah, I want to skip ahead to the part where he talks about his mate at Google when he was working at ChatGPT, because he was basically pretty integral.
He formed OpenAI with this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was the anti-Google. Let me skip to
Yeah,
the
skip
clip.
to the part where he talks about that.
Perhaps more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or bad car production.
This is where he was like talking about regulations and how he's not anti-regulations, even though he's like Mr. Capitalist and stuff.
Yeah.
It has the potential of civilizational destruction. There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator.
This was stupid. This revealed his fucking idiocracy and whatever through like this whole fucking subject, because like bringing up Terminator is so dumb. Like no one's afraid of Terminator. That's like anyone like that knows about this stuff, like Jeffrey Hinton, like the other clip we're going to play in a minute, isn't afraid of fucking Terminator.
Yeah.
Like to even bring that up shows that like that's where your mind is at, and
Yeah.
that you don't even fully like actually
get
get
it,
what the
yeah.
fuck you're talking about,
Yeah.
and that you're just really talking about this stuff. I don't know. He says he's like
media attention,
It is media
and
attention.
stuff.
It's bullshit,
Like it's
man.
fucking,
like
you
yeah.
know.
Hang on, let me skip
He's
forward a bit
like
more.
he's a Cancer. That's his astrology sign. He's like a male water sign, so he's like a
Where things
attention whore.
for sure. I mean, the things like say ChatGPT, which is based on GPT-4 from OpenAI, which is a company that I played a critical role in creating, unfortunately.
Back when it was a nonprofit.
Yes. I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him late into the night about AI safety.
Wait,
He would talk.
physiognomy.
He would
check.
talk late into the night about AI safety, as bros do.
As bros do.
As bros do, just having a couple of brewskis, talking about AI safety deep into the night.
Oh my god.
What, like, a date must be so fun with Elon.
Oh god. Poor Grimes.
My perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will.
Again, digital superintelligence, digital god. So he's basically implying that this guy was gung-ho about building what he believed was a digital super consciousness, digital god. Elon then goes on to say that when he reprimanded his naughty friend for his scientific hubris, he then said that he was being speciesist. So basically what Elon is implying is that there's like a faction of technological accelerationists who think that they're building an AI super consciousness / God?
Yeah.
Are we in Evangelion? Are we in an anime? What is going on?
It's getting there. It is kind of
It's getting there. When are the mecha suits coming out? That's what I want to know.
I want mecha
And can
suit.
I pilot one?
Yeah, I want to pilot mecha suit. That'd be fucking
I
epic.
think that my anime of me piloting a mecha suit would sell more.
What?
Because I'm like a powerful black woman.
You're gonna pull the Marvel cards
Yeah,
on
I'm
me?
gonna pull the Marvel cards on you. I'm like
Oh
a
my
powerful
God.
black woman, and you're just like a boring white guy. So no
I'm
one,
a cis white
yeah,
guy.
no one wants
How
to see
fucking
you
boring.
in a mecha suit.
Oh my
Sorry.
God. Okay.
As soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, or Artificial Superintelligence.
Didn't Google say, wasn't their their motto, "Don't be evil" or some shit?
It was.
And then
They got rid of it.
They got rid of it.
Yeah.
When did they get rid of it?
A few years ago.
Why did they get rid of it?
I don't know. I just kind of
Can
took
you
it away.
imagine being a company and your motto is just like, "Don't be evil," and then like a couple years later, you're like, "Nah."
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry
guy.
about that.
We need to do a little bit of evil, so just scrap that.
We don't know what Elon is saying or if he's what he's, but I think obviously what he's been saying, it should be taken somewhat seriously,
Mm-hmm.
because if this is true, like if there is action of technological accelerationist tech companies that are trying to build an AI god, that's something we should all be concerned about.
Yeah, definitely. But it's kind of, it's kind of obvious that that's what they're trying to do.
And why is Elon like, "I'm the good guy and I'm warning the public about this thing"? Like, why is he
That's
sort of
his
casting
whole
himself
fucking,
as
that's his whole fucking shtick, isn't it?
a good boy?
That's his whole fucking shtick, isn't it?
But then how do we know what he's saying is credible?
We don't. Which is also his whole fucking shtick.
But then again, it also there was another strange tie. The journalist Whitney Webb wrote an article this week. It was sort of exposing Noam Chomsky's alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein. I posted it in the Discord. But aside from the salacious Noam Chomsky stuff, one of the really interesting parts of the article was her talking about how integral Epstein was in the acceleration of AI, and how he was having meetings with all the heads of these companies like Microsoft and Boston Dynamics and Google, like all the big companies that are like behind this stuff, because he was obsessed not only with like transhumanism and the idea of the singularity, he was also obsessed with like eugenics as well, and his obsession with that has been like well documented. Yeah, just all these like weird, interesting things, like these companies, their ties to MIT and the ties to the military industrial complex and intelligence agencies, and then all the weird language that these people are using around it that sounds apocalyptic and religious. Like it feels like the plot of I don't know, an anime, a video game, like something. Like this
is the moment we were all waiting for. We were waiting for it in the year 2000, mate. We're entering the future.
Well, so you're saying that this is what we all thought Y2K would be,
Yeah.
and now we're actually
actually
entering
there.
Y2K for real.
I mean, we had it kind of with the internet, I guess. It was a slow creeper that sort of like people didn't really understand, and even now are sort of like not really grappling with sort of stuff. Oh wait, hang on, sorry, let me do my little button.
Our little button. Sorry, guys. Yeah, go on.
That's completely fucking wrecked the world in many ways. The internet has
Yeah.
improved the world in
Yeah,
many ways
yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
but it has also completely fucking like destroyed media in the West largely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But any sort of
the
largely
viable models, the viable like actual models
Yeah.
to do anything
Yeah.
are like very, very shaky at best.
Yeah.
Like
But any sort of large leap in technology in human history always sort of disrupts the social and psychological fabric. Like even the printing press had a similar effect.
But what my point with the models of like YouTube, even love YouTube, great, watch YouTube all the time, it's like probably not actually like a viable model, but the reason it can exist is because it exists within Google, and Google like doesn't rely only on YouTube
Yeah.
to exist.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
has
yeah.
this whole other fucking thing that
Yeah.
like infrastructure that makes shitloads of money, and that means that it's okay if YouTube doesn't make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And that's why it can exist.
Yeah.
Spotify like hasn't made money
Yeah.
for like ever.
Ever, yeah.
Netflix hasn't made money ever.
Yeah, ever.
Like, you know, there are
Yeah,
these like
yeah.
businesses that like exist purely on VC capital fucking rounds
Yep.
and investor
Yep.
like constantly going into it and being like, yeah, no, I believe it's eventually going to pay off and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, well, you know, if the viable model doesn't actually kind of present itself from the internet, then you need to kind of change the way that like it's viewed at in society, culture, like all of these sorts
All
of
of these
things.
things,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
Like to allow for that stuff to exist. If you like it, if you don't like it, and you don't like
Definitely.
value that stuff anymore, then it doesn't need to exist anymore. It can just be churned out. And it's the same thing I feel like will happen with stuff like AI and writing
Yeah.
and everything else. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want a kid story, does it need to be written by a human? It's like
Well, it
literally.
should be. I don't
for
wanna
like, for like
fucking-
a 2-year-old that you're going to bed and you're like the
Yes!
the pink elephant goes in the kitchen and he sees his friend Ralph the
no,
rabbit or some shit. You're
no.
like, does that need to be written by
Yes,
a
it
human
does.
being?
I'm so happy.
Like, I'm quite
No,
happy
shush,
for it to go.
shush, shush, shush,
Give
shush,
me a
shush,
new
No, you're
child
upsetting
story
me. You're
about
upsetting
like
me.
fucking
No,
whatever the
you will
fuck.
never do that to our baby.
But, like, it's
number
not going to
one.
make the next Lord of the Rings,
No,
is it?
babe,
Like, that's my
shush.
point.
Listen, I'm so happy that a human being took the time to write Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar and make all the little pop-up features and put love into creating that for me to enjoy and to have memories. Like we just bought it for my nephew.
Of course, and that's
and he
great.
has the teddy now and he takes it everywhere with him and it's really cute. And like there is something like, no, I don't want to like just give my child a bunch of AI generated bedtime stories. That's awful.
The stories I have to read him to go to sleep at night. Yeah, I'm not reading the same book because I can't buy a fucking new book every fucking
Why? What if he
whatever
likes
fuck.
the fucking same? But I loved getting bedtime stories read to me repeatedly. My favorites or whatever.
No, they live in the future now. They get a new bedtime
They get a
story
new
every
one
night,
generated
and
by
I can
ChatGPT
and I can
every
I
night.
can get fucking an AI version of Sylvester Stallone to read it to them or something if I wanted to.
Absolutely not. Not
Like,
in this house.
it would-
Absolutely.
That would be hilarious.
Absolutely
Can you
not.
imagine Sylvester Stallone reading Hungry Caterpillar to you?
Jake's like, I want that right now for myself.
no. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. What did I do?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
cables have disappeared.
Cables
Hang
have
on.
fallen. Sorry, guys. Uh-oh. Oh. Can you see us? Uh-oh. Got a little bit too excited.
Oh, no. And the mic has fallen. It's all happening.
Uh-oh. All happened at once. Standby. Should we put on the standby screen?
That would be called quitting.
We're not quitters here at Mystic in the Machine. Should I look at the chat while you
Yeah, look at the
fiddle
chat.
around?
Look at the chat.
If you guys can still
amuse
hear
people.
us, my bad. Okay, hang on. Someone says, yeah, a Marvel movie superhero. Ooh, there we go. We're back. We're back. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. We got a little bit excited and knocked a few things over on our desk. But we're back now. Should we take a look at what the mystics are saying and have a look at what is being said in the chat?
Should it be called the Mystics or the M&Ms?
The M&Ms. We have to think of a name for you guys.
Here we go. A coronation of a different sort. Oh dear, hang on, have we got any questions in here? Have we got any?
Hang on.
We need to be trying to read this
It
as we're
says
going
struggle
along.
is, sorry, someone says struggle is indistinguishable in the search for meaning. You take struggle out, people lose a way to guide themselves. That's very true. So you're agreeing with what I was saying at the beginning about how struggle is like an integral part of life.
Struggle isn't necessarily like, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily removing struggle though. There's struggle in everything. That's the natural resistance of anything you're going to try and do.
Yeah, but like in terms of work, like there's a reason why the Egyptian afterlife is literally playing Stardew Valley for eternity. it's like at the Egyptian afterlife, you get to be on a farm with your family, reaping, sowing, harvesting. There's something very human about that natural cycle of like work and like seeing your labor produce something fruitful and have actual use
Yeah, maybe
in your community. And taking that away does create a crisis of meaning.
Well, that's it. Maybe farming is something that it would take really skilled robots to be able to maneuver all of that farmland and stuff. So actually, that's something that isn't more productive with robots and AI. And so work then does actually become literal things like that, like farming and fishing and stuff that robots can't do, as well as us.
Yeah.
Or would take a lot longer to get as good as humans at doing.
Yeah.
And so work would become definitely not as much of this kind of like, oh, I want to be a interior designer. Like, well, I don't know, maybe an interior designer even, that would still that would still be okay. Like, I don't know how an AI would do interior design.
I'm sure it's around the corner. I'm
know.
sure it's around the corner. Someone said Elon is secretly excited for the things that he's saying. That's a possibility too. Like, he talks about a lot of weird stuff. He talks about like population shit, like all the shit that you get nervous when billionaires talk about. Like, if anytime a billionaire starts talking about the population and or like humanity in these sort of broad existential, almost religious terms, like it does kind of peak my heckles up. But the thing is, he's not the only one doing it currently. I mean, Bill Gates was doing it during COVID. You have a lot of, even our current head of state, King Charles, is doing the same with like, climate change and his sort of apocalyptic, messianic, all the propaganda around King Charles is of him like basically doing David Attenborough documentaries out in nature, begging us to, stop our horrible way of life and stop, raping Mother Earth. He's also like, in bed with the goblins at the fucking WEF, and they're pushing a sort of degrowth agenda. Like, there's a whole lot of weird,
weird connections.
Weird connections.
Stuff.
And also, like I keep saying, this secular apocalypticism, this sort of idea that we're approaching a point of crisis that's going to lead to some point of like apotheosis, whether it be, becoming a green society, whatever that means, according to the WEF, or, reaching singularity. And like, it seems as if there are lots of people, regardless of whatever is going on, if Elon Musk is right and it's a cabal of transhumanists who want to bring an AI god to fruition or whatever the fuck's going on, what we do know is that there's like lots of different factions of accelerationists behind what's currently going on. It seems like Epstein was definitely one. From what Whitney Webb talked about in her article, but people don't like her.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't get why don't people like her.
She seems like a pretty straight shooter to me.
I think it's because she talks mostly on like quote unquote right leaning platforms, but I feel like those are the only people who would like give her a chance to talk about the stuff she talks about.
Because she talks pretty openly about Bill Clinton and like his sketchy connections with Jeffrey Epstein, so probably just automatically blacklists her from kind of like liberal rags and, like, liberal, broadcasters and stuff.
Yeah.
But we got one more clip for you on this AI stuff from Jeffrey Hinton. I'm gonna get his name right before the end of the podcast. Because he was actually like...
Wait, quick, before we run to that, I just wanted to like stress because we'll probably talk about the Epstein thing a little bit more next week when we've got more time. But I want to know why. Why was he so gung-ho about AI? It probably has something to do with like his transhumanism and like
he's
eugenics.
just fascinated in like technology and science and the forefronts of a lot of that stuff in both his sort of weird, eugenic-y, creepy things. I'm sure. But then also just in lots of other areas as well. In the same way that like Ghislaine Maxwell was like really into shit posting. And like had a massive... Is
that real? Was she really
and
a
had
shit
a massive
poster?
Reddit account. Yeah. She was like the
was
moderator.
Was she funny though? Was she like a funny shit poster?
She was a moderator on one of the largest Reddit threads.
Wow.
One of the largest subreddits.
Wow.
On the site. I can't remember which one. It might have been like news and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was something to do with news. I
Like,
remember. Yeah.
Which is sort of like so, weird, really strange that you would think that someone like that with all of that money would spend so much time posting on the internet.
Well, no, that they all do.
But
They all
and that's
do.
kind
Look
of
at the massive meltdown that happened when Elon took the blue check marks away.
Yeah.
They're so no matter how successful someone is, they're all so online. Like I've seen it. They're all so friggin' online.
But even the more I think about it now as a more a kind of mature adult or whatever, I'm like sort of browsing through YouTube and there's I did this fucking crazy thing. You're like, yeah, because you've got like a shitload of money and you like spent it on making this video. Like, this isn't like, I'm doing something with my buds and isn't this cool? Or like whatever. This is like you're on like a jet ski or some shit.
Yeah.
You're like, you're jumping a shark or some shit. Like you're just like, what the fuck? This is not just not like a dig at Mr. Beast or anything, because he's kind of got like a different story.
Oh, are you starting beef?
No,
with
he's got like a
Mr.
different
Beast?
story. That's like a different thing. But like,
I don't even know who that is or what he looks like.
he's like the biggest YouTuber.
What is he? What's his? I know that he gives money to people or something.
He does
like
silly
that.
games and gives money to people.
I remember
for,
one time
doing the
leftists
games.
got mad at him and they were like,
I don't know why.
"You're
I
not
mean,
a communist."
Oh, because he gave some guy like a house or something.
And they were like,
I don't
"He's
know.
not a communist," like or some shit. I didn't know.
I don't think that really matters. He's just like he likes to do charity. He was like the start of doing charity for views in lots of ways, which is kind of like cynical in some terms.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like he does genuinely give a lot of money away to like people and stuff. So it's also like fair play.
I
like,
don't know. It's just like one of the internet's many demonic manifestations. That's kind of how I see it, or whatever.
Anyway, let's look at this last video.
Yeah, last video.
Because I can't remember. I was talking about Mr. Beast.
I don't know why we got there.
You made me bring him up. I start trying to explain.
It's because you're obsessed, Jake.
I'm not fucking obsessed.
You're obsessed.
Don't make people think I'm obsessed with Mr. Beast. That's the most fucking basic
he's
shit
obsessed
ever.
with Mr. Beast,
Oh
guys.
my god,
joking,
I'm not at all. I did enjoy his.
Here it comes.
His one
Here it
video.
comes.
One video I did enjoy of his was the Squid Game one he did. Because that was
one?
he remade Squid Game. That was pretty epic.
Someone said gender neutral roll doll stories produced by.
Yeah, there you go.
There
See?
you go. That actually, then it would get rid of all the complaining
Yeah,
by woke
exactly.
parents, because they can
You
just
can
generate their like children's propaganda for the night or whatever.
You could have Harry Potter rewritten in the flavour that you want. That's not.
You can add as many
that's
gender
not covered in
fluid.
turf germs. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
you can
perfect.
get rid of J.K. Rowling altogether. I'll make my version where Hermione's like a raging turf. I'm gonna actually do that tonight. I'm gonna fucking
so funny.
Just have Hermione being like a raging like turf lesbian.
That would be hilarious.
It'd be hilarious. Okay, back to the clip of
All right.
this Jeffrey man. Is that his name?
Is that his name? Oh,
I got it
wait.
right. I got it right.
Oh no! Now
Have
it's
we
gonna.
broken it?
We've broken it. We
really
through our cables and our things falling over.
Oh my god, guys! What are you gonna do with us?
It's fucking broken.
What are you gonna
so we
do
can't
with
show
us?
you the last one. But basically, Jeffrey Hinton is like he was like crassly named the godfather of AI. He
works at the Don't Be Evil company.
Yeah, he
While
worked at
they
Google for a
still
long time
said,
because
"Don't be evil."
they acquired his tech company, which was doing machine learning essentially, which is sort of what a lot of these language models and stuff is based upon. And so, and he's been doing a lot of this work since like the 70s or something. He's been like doing it for a very long time, and he was sort of worried that the monopolization of all of these technologies is gonna happen, and not only that like once you it's unstoppable in exactly the way that you said as well, in the same way that like it's not going to stop because China will keep going.
Yeah,
so that doesn't matter.
But how is that okay with them? How do they not question that? How are they not like, why are we like taking on the accelerationist model simply because
that's the
China
point,
is?
because
And
it's-
also it makes sense why Nick Land is now living in China, because like he's an accelerationist, and like he says that he believes that like China.
No one knows who Nick Land is.
Oh, sorry, no, not everyone's is like online and like retarded as
Just
me.
gonna let you know right now.
Sorry.
No one knows who Nick Land
So
is.
he was like one of Mark Fisher's like contemporaries. I believe they both taught at the same university together, and they were like professors and philosophers, and they were, I think, initially Marxist, and then Nick Land sort of split off and became like a neo-reactionary. And then he also kind of came up with the philosophy of accelerationism. I don't know if he came up with it or if he just expanded upon it. This is a really crude summation, but it's basically something that's been really heavily adopted by certain elements of Silicon Valley and like technological utopianism and all of this stuff. This idea that we should just sort of let the machine of capital like run until it reaches singularity, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And this is kind of the ideology that's like that it's in Silicon Valley, like these people who are like, let's go, let's go, let's go. That's kind of the model that they're working on. And then China's model as well. And I wondered, like, if he has this accelerationist philosophy, why does he live in China, which is like supposedly like, you know, state capitalist, blah, 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 blah. And it's because China actually is his model come to fruition in that sense, because they don't give a fuck there. There really isn't any. Well, there's some regulation, like for instance with TikTok, they don't let their kids stay on TikTok and stuff, but then they'll give the West the accelerated version of TikTok or whatever. So they do have like checks and balances, but it's very based upon whatever the party thinks.
They're doing reverse opium wars, bro.
Yeah, it's kind of like reverse opium wars in a sense. But even then, when it comes to accelerationism,
The dopamine wars.
When it comes to accelerationism they're kind of fully on board with it. And there's not as many checks and balances as there are in the West, is what I'm trying to illustrate. So it's like an arms race currently, like the nuclear arms race back in the day. Like, you know, everyone's racing, and there's just like this kind of race into a downward spiral in a way.
Yeah, well, so the same reason why we're going back to the moon.
Yeah.
Because China's going to go there.
Yeah.
And they're going to build a base there.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
going to set up the first, like, you know,
but how far
settlement
does
and
this
whatever
go?
on
What
the
if
moon.
China's like,
And that would
want to
be
create
territory.
like, what if China's like, we want to create like AI super soldiers, and we don't give a shit because we don't have to think about the ethics of that, so we're just going to do it. The West is going to be like, well, China's doing it, so we're going to do it too. What if China's like, we want to like genetically engineer fucking superhumans or whatever, and fuck all the ethics? Will the West then be like, well, China's doing it, so we have to do it too? Like, where does it end is basically what I'm asking.
Yeah. Who knows?
And why is this Google engineer like panicking? He's like there being like, oh my God, this is a really bad thing. We should slow down. This has like all kinds of unforeseeable consequences. But I also know that it's not going to slow down because China's doing it. So, you know.
Yeah. Just sort of, I guess, sort of making...
Well, then what do
people-
you want? Why come out and panic everyone?
Yeah,
If
that's
nothing can be done about it, why are all these like tech giants pretending to be Chicken Little?
Because I guess sort of like with enough... and that's kind of what Elon Musk was saying within there somewhere as well, when if you watch the whole thing, was if you just type on like Elon Tucker or whatever, it was like you know, him saying that oh fuck, I've lost my train of thought because I was trying
You
to
talking about
explain
Elon
it.
Musk, and then why all these tech guys acting like Chicken Little? Like, why do they keep screaming?
Regulation that like, you know, regulation is put in place after bad stuff happens. So like when, you know, shitloads of people die in car crashes, when they regulate to like put your seatbelt in a certain like, because that's proven to save lives and whatever else. That's a good regulation, but it happens after like a shitload of people have died. And so what he was basically saying, and what Jeffrey Hinton's also worried about, is that like there isn't like, oh, you know, a few or whatever it was would have calculated as like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in early like motor car days would have like died
Early
in
motor
it
car
would have
days.
died in like, you know, motor crashes and whatever. And so that won't be the same with AI because it will be civilization changing. And so you can't have the first like mistake with it. So regulation needs to come before like,
yeah.
the bad thing happens.
Yeah.
which is like very good and forward thinking and everything, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I think a lot of that stuff is going to end up hindering profits for those companies,
Big
and they're going to end
time.
up lobbying
Big time.
to just not put those laws in place,
Big
and that's kind
time.
of like how the game is played, isn't it? So
Big time. Jay George says Nick is a fascinating figure, but he scares me. Me too. I'm like super interested in that rabbit hole, and also like his relationship with Mark Fisher, and the other lady who, she came up with like xenofeminism or whatever, which is like about kind of adjacent to transhumanism in a way, and they were all friends, but then they fell out. They did occult rituals together as well. And like the way that they're sort of the three kind of nucleus intellectuals of like the millennials that came after them. I don't know. There's another rabbit hole to like dive down there, but we'll probably circle back around to it on the show at some point. Someone said, just sorry, I'm just trying to see. Someone said they like M&Ms as the name instead of instead of that. Yeah, someone said this is Ava and we're all Shinji. I agree. I agree. We're definitely all Shinji. But yeah, next week we'll do another deep dive into some of this stuff because there's a lot more to cover, especially when it comes to the Epstein stuff and his connection to AI and transhumanism and accelerationism. And there's also a lot more to talk about when it comes to like England and British politics and the stuff that's going on right now in like the Crown. Why
Don't
is
get me started,
Jake
mate. Don't get
shaking
me
his head
started.
resentfully?
You know, I like talking about AI because you can sort of speculatively talk hopefully about it. I don't feel like I have the same freedom to talk about like England.
We
in
could
that
end
way.
up in the dungeon, guys, like for real.
Yeah.
Like for
Can't say
actual
too many
real.
treasonous things on the next podcast
No,
because
we
otherwise
can't.
we will end up in the dungeons.
I think it would be kind of cool to end up in the dungeons.
I
though.
don't think
I'd feel
it would be...
I'd feel pretty like edgy.
We wouldn't be in the same dungeon together, you know that.
Oh no.
Yeah, like
I
it
was
would
hoping
be
that
like
you'd be my dungeon buddy.
a little getaway for us in the London dungeons. It's like not how it is going to work.
Like we couldn't snuggle. Like...
No, we'd be in separate dungeons, like possibly in stocks, you know,
That's
with our
awful.
butts out, getting like whipped and getting tomatoes thrown at our faces.
That sounds hot.
Is that like
That sounds like
does that
a
sound like a
weekend.
good Saturday night
That
for
sounds like
you?
a fucking weekend, dude. That sounds awesome.
You are debauched.
I am very divorced. You know this. You know this. Speaking of dungeons and stuff as well, another exciting development or potentially exciting development, Winds of Winter, the last, well, not second to last book in the Song of Ice and Fire series might be finished, or at least that's a rumor that's circulating online, which has kind of been half confirmed by George R.R. Martin.
I'm not gonna trust anything until he actually says it.
He's kind of teased at it, but like the rumor is it's done and that it's being edited currently and translated.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we've heard this for about 12 years now. But I'm hoping it's true.
We haven't heard that for 12 years, but yeah.
Well, no, not that it's like done, but that it's like, you know, almost finished and blah 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 blah. But it seems like
It will come when it will come. Stop spurging out.
I think it's
Just
here.
like-
I do. I don't think there's been this much of a, I guess it's coming for a while, because I think most people have like given up hope and have just become defeated
It
or
will
whatever.
come when it will come.
But
Just
now,
relax.
but now I think it's close.
Okay.
I think it is close. But if it is, I'd rather read about like feudalism and like weirdness than like live in it.
I'm not holding my breath for George R. R. Martin to release that book anytime this year.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel like you would have heard about it by now. It's like, you know, nearly halfway through the year. I feel like you would
Probably
have...
not this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe
so
next
that's
year.
what I'm saying. I'm not holding my breath for it to come out this year.
But it's coming,
And that's
though.
another 6 months away at minimum. So, like, I don't know what I mean. Like, we'll get hyped closer towards the time.
It's
And when
coming,
it's actually
though.
confirmed.
It's coming because the ending of the show was so bad. It was so terrible that I'm just like so desperate to
What are
like
you gonna
see
do?
his vision and like what it's actually supposed to be or whatever. So
Is it realistic for people to commit to a TV show for a decade, though?
no, not really.
Like, do you know
No,
what I mean?
not really. No.
Like, so
No.
really, like, they made it too early, and I feel like maybe in another, like, 20 years, 30 years, when all the books are actually done,
Yeah.
then they'll like remake Game of Thrones and it will be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like they tried too early because all the books aren't finished. They had to
Yeah.
fucking try and wing it on their own.
I'm
They weren't
looking-
going to wait years and years for it to be finished. Do you know
I'm
what I
looking
mean?
forward
So
to the anime version in like 30 years.
that'll be dope.
Yeah.
That'll be very dope.
Someone's gonna like ChatGPT and like Midjourney and all of the AI shit would have gotten so good that you could just like tell it to make you a song of Ice
That'll
and
be
Fire.
crazy,
like,
man. When they start making all of those kind of like text to image things,
Yeah.
like, you can already imagine it. Like you get the text for your favorite book, paste that into ChatGPT with the prompt of convert this into a screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Post screenplay into text to video. Type in animation style of Tarkovsky Gendy or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bang, masterpiece. I've sorted out my weekend. I've got a whole series that I've just made and I can binge for myself.
Oh my god! And you add a whole like bunch of like fan service scenes.
Yeah, just like
in
voice
between.
acted with like Anna Taylor-Joy. And, like,
Scarlett Johansson. Oh my god! Such is the future. I don't know, man. It's getting pretty weird. We're in serious schizo
it's
times.
getting there, mate. It's getting there.
Like we watched A Scanner Darkly this weekend for the
Yeah.
first time. I hadn't seen it before. It's okay. It's kind of a mid film, but I really enjoyed how schizo it is. I liked that Alex Jones makes a cameo in it.
Yeah, that's great.
The part where he gets carted off into the
Yeah.
van. I feel like that's gonna happen to me one day. That's like my biggest fear.
yeah. It was
is that I'm gonna be like.
It was good. It was like a 6 out of 10 film. It's like
It's got such a good cast though. I'm surprised it wasn't a better film.
It's like an 8 out of 10 book, and I feel like they couldn't emphasize on all the really weird bits, which are in all of the rehab center, because that would have made it like a full-on 18 rated film, maybe even like beyond if they actually kind of went there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like they couldn't do that. So they sort of
They didn't want it to be
they
like
fudged like the last third of the film a little bit and
Yeah.
fucked it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It ended okay, but it still didn't really. They could have done a lot more in that last third that would have made the end way more impactful
better,
and
yeah.
made the film like just way better. But they probably couldn't for like rating and like
Yeah.
all sorts of other Hollywood
Hollywood
nonsense
stuff,
that you
yeah.
couldn't comprehend.
Yeah. It's like kind of a thing to just put on though if you haven't seen it, and
It's
like
a brilliantly crafted
Yeah,
film. Like it's
it's cool.
insanely well done.
it's a little bit
like,
too in love with its own coolness though, which is like
all of the
kind of why
imagery-
it didn't tell the story in the way it could have, in my opinion.
The way it's filmed and the way they did all the rotoscoping is genius. It looks amazing. It looks pretty awesome. Can't deny that.
I also
on mushrooms or something that would fucking trip you the fuck
I made
out.
you watch Princess Kaguya while you were tripping
Whilst I
on
was on acid.
acid.
That was very fun. I did enjoy it. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. That was cool. And then I also want to read more Philip K. Dick stuff, and I want to also learn more about his life. It's a rabbit hole that I've been meaning to go down, but I have so much that I'm currently reading, so much that I'm like yet to read, so many different like lines of thought. Yeah,
It's on the list.
It's on the conspiracy board, but his life is pretty schizo.
Yeah, definitely.
And also he was like weirdly Gnostic and like all of the weird shit that like all of the weird through lines that I'm following currently kind of lead to him in a way. So I feel like I need to like properly learn more about that. But you've been listening to his stuff a lot lately. Where would you recommend that I start or anyone else in the audience start?
Where anyone thinks they're gonna start with do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. Just actually read that.
It's because I've seen
or
Blade Runner
listen to
so
it.
many times.
Doesn't matter. You don't like the Blade Runner film still is quite fairly abstracted from the book. Like the book is still I don't know. I love the film so much. I couldn't say the book's better than the film because it's just a different thing. It's just a different
They're
thing.
different
But, like,
experiences.
yeah, but
it's like watching The Shining versus reading The
yeah,
Shining
exactly,
type of thing.
exactly.
Okay.
But the book is fucking phenomenal. So
Okay.
like, just read the book,
Okay.
and then like, there's Scanner Darkly is pretty heavy and really trippy. Ubik is also pretty all of them.
What
are
about
heavy and
Valis?
trippy.
Because I hear Valis is the
Valis
one
is
where
so
he has
heady-
like
is so heady,
gets
like-
really gnostic and like occult and.
Well, he's kind of talking about, he's writing about himself in like these kind of adventures that are semi-biographical and stuff about his kind of sort of path of life and philosophy and all sorts of stuff. And it's not where I would start.
Is it like his red book?
That's like the end. That's like the end of your Philip K. Dick.
No, but I don't know.
journey.
I feel
It's
strong
really not.
because we tackled red book, so now I feel
No.
like I can
Yeah,
conquer anything.
Carl Jung was not schizo like Philip K. Dick. Like, you don't.
Carl
like,
Jung was pretty schizo, dude.
Yeah, you think that. Yeah, and then you try and read Valis, and it's like, that Red Book reads like Harry Potter compared to this. This is like, way more.
Have you tried to read Valis before?
Yeah, I've tried to I've only got the audiobook, so I've tried to listen to it like a few times, and it's quite hard. It's definitely not as sort of easy to stay engaged as like all of the other Philip K. Dick books I've ever listened to, basically. So, but Ubik is really good. Of course, The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is probably like actually my favourite Philip K. Dick story of all of them.
Well, speaking of China,
I wasn't speaking of China.
oh, sorry,
Okay.
because we spoke of China before. Three Body Problem, the biggest sci-fi to come out of China.
Yeah, that's an awesome
pretty
book.
much
I've read that
ever.
whole series.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Jake's a huge. I'm yet to read it, but there's also a TV series.
There's a Chinese one which I have managed to download.
I'm interested because there seems to be also kind of a renaissance in science fiction happening in China currently as well, and I'm really interested in learning more because they're going through a similar sort of technological acceleration there, but obviously in a different direction, and there are clues to that in the science fiction that's coming out of China currently. So it's definitely so yeah. I highly recommend Three Body Problem for sure. Like, and we're gonna watch the series, the actual Chinese series, if we can find it, because of course.
I said I've got it.
Have we got it?
Yeah,
have we got it?
I managed to find it.
Oh,
Somehow.
sick! Awesome. Because
Don't
I knew that none of the evil
Don't
Western,
ask, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
none of the evil Western streamers would carry.
Yeah, none of them are
Three
going
Body-
to take it, but it's also because
But they'll put a Squid Game on.
No,
but
it's
they won't
because
put, like, fucking.
they're making a Western one soon.
Oh, really? I'm surprised that China was willing to share the IP.
Yeah, well, it's probably for a different market, isn't it? It's like, you would make rights deals for like different markets or whatever.
True.
So
that's
like,
true.
they made a Chinese one which is super high budget and looks great, and there's going to be, I think, one on Netflix or one of the streamers that will come out, and that's going to be obviously super high budget as well. But I think Dan and Dave were supposed to be like doing it.
As in Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones, or it's supposed to be the showrunners.
The kind of like that's the kind of like
God.
layup for the hype of that show, right? Of like, Dan and Dave are gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the next Game of Thrones. And you're like,
Oh,
don't
God.
do that, man.
God.
Like, just let
Yeah,
it happen.
just let it
Just let it
happen.
happen. Okay, our camera's fully booting us off now. We've got low battery and 25
good.
seconds to go.
It's
But,
all good.
yeah.
No, press the thing, and
Okay.
then let's actually do a proper outro. We still have like a little thing, but yeah. Thank you guys for coming, for watching us this. Thank you guys for watching us this evening. If you'd like to join us for our book club, which we host every Sunday, you can do so by joining our Discord. You can join our Discord by joining us on Patreon. Any amount gets you in the Discord. And yeah, we're reading the Tao Te Ching currently, and very soon we'll be voting on a new book to read for book club. It's really great. It's super fun. And also we have a Discord full of really funny, interesting people. So come join us. Thank you guys for watching this